Simone, you work mainly with ceramics, with clay. So could you tell me why you have chosen this material?
I have chosen this material because, first of all, I think the first quality of clay is that it is a dynamic, living on entity. And when you are in contact with a living being, and it is also malleable. So you have these both possibilities of real interaction with the clay. It's immediate, it's fast, it's you don't have to think too much because the kneading and the preparation gives you a lot of time for your thoughts and the form to emerge. So it's like at the same time it's very quick. At the same time, it's also slow. And so you have this combination which is wonderful for the emergence of your work, at least for me.
So you have done it since the beginning?
Yes. Well, since I started doing sculptures, it was an unsaid secret, and unsaid that it was going to be clay. But actually, my first two things were stone and wax to doing bronze. But as soon as I started with clay, I never varied.
What about the fragility?
The fragility is part of what you like in clay because it retains this aspect of life. You know, it can die, therefore it's alive, and therefore you like it more. And this appeal, of course, goes through to the viewer, not only for me, but it's a risk that I take. I mean, I lost so much work going from the table to the kiln already before we start firing. So it's a very dangerous practice and very dear. And in the kiln you have accidents, and then you have to take it out, then you have to glaze it. Again, you have the same process. It goes back to the kiln. So this firing, it's it's like in your life you have very big challenges through fire.
Yeah.
You go through fire.
But what about the people who possess the piece after you? I mean, the one who are buying, they can also...
They have to be very careful. I heard of quite not too many, but I know of 3 or 4 persons who bought pieces who lost them.
And it's lost?
It's lost. Well, sometimes you can repiece it together. You can glue it back. I heard of a very great artist, I'm not going to give his name, but all his pieces have been reconstructed. It's very fragile. And these friends, I don't think, it depends on the way it's going to be broken and if you can take it back. Usually what I do when I have something like that broke, I try, if I like it, most of the time I just throw it away. But sometimes I have a mold made and I have it made in bronze. That's why a lot of my bronzes actually come from these accidents.
Ah, that's
so
interesting.
It's a very good thing in that sense because you give it another life.
So
and it is possible.
Yeah, but so the choice of the material is almost a conceptual choice.
No, it's an instinctive choice, I would say. It's a real interaction. It's what you like.
And could you speak about your relation to antiquity?
Yes, well, it's a relation. I went to the École du Louvre, but I went to the École du Louvre because I was too late to enroll at the Sorbonne. So actually it was by chance that I discovered archaeology. although in my youth we always went and visited the archaeological sites in Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, everywhere. But so I studied archaeology by chance, because actually what I wanted to do was philosophy. And then I forgot about it, because it was as part of my life, you know. But when I started doing sculptures, this whole history came up. I mean, when I was kneading, as I said, you start
When
kneading.
was it?
I started in California in 1988.
Okay.
Yeah.
And suddenly,
Suddenly,
archaeology.
these ideas came up, these names, Ishtar, Gilgamesh, Enkidu, they came to my mind. And the gods, this whole history came up. And I don't know, maybe it is being away so much far from Lebanon during the war, maybe, or is it? But it's also, I mean, as it lasted so long, it must be very dear to me, must be very deep.
And you
in my
studied it
psyche.
after that? Did you read books and did you read
Oh, I
books
constantly read books, yeah.
about that?
About that, yeah. Jean Botero, for instance, is someone I read constantly. All the archaeologists, yes, I can say that.
And what do archaeology express about today?
Well, history, first of all, history is a continuum. And I see, because you know how it began, the actual what has remained of that history and how it has become something else. This is what interests me. And you see it. I mean, it's very, very alive. I remember going through Syria with the director of antiquities, and he told me he was in Mari, and some Bedouin told him that a devil had settled in their teeth.
Wow.
He was flabbergasted, because it's in a Sumerian text, the same thing. You know, it's just like something that goes on, has been repeated through 4,000 years. That if you have a toothache, it's the devil. It is the devil, isn't it?
It was suffering, really.
He makes you suffer. So this is an anecdote, but it's when you live in those countries, you see it. You see that history. You feel it. It's for me. And so it helps me understand. It helps me understand what we have become, for sure.
Merci.